A widowed millionaire, buried in work and guilt, goes to pick up his daughter who uses a wheelchair from school. Her teacher, a woman from his past, has been taking care of her with deep, genuine affection. This unexpected reunion sparks memories of a love that was never meant to end. If this story got you hooked, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Stay tuned. The shriek of the alarm clock pierced through the stillness of the penthouse apartment. Nathan Harrington's hand slammed down on the device, silencing it before he opened his eyes to face another day. The same routine, the same emptiness, the same purpose, work, and his daughter Lily. Nothing else mattered anymore. 6 o'clock in Boston meant the financial markets in Europe were already in full swing. Nathan reached for his phone, scrolling through emails that had accumulated overnight. The Harrington Investment Group never slept, and as its CEO, neither could he. Work had become his sanctuary, the place where he could escape the hollowness that had taken residence in his chest since Caroline's sudden departure 3 years ago. "Dad?" a gentle voice called from the hallway. "Are you awake?" Nathan immediately set his phone down. "Coming, sweetheart," he replied, his voice softening instantly. 17-year-old Lily sat in her wheelchair by her bedroom door, already dressed in her school uniform, her honey blonde hair, so much like her mother's, pulled back in a neat ponytail. Her bright blue eyes lit up when she saw him, and for a moment the weight on Nathan's shoulders felt lighter. "You're up early?" he remarked, kneeling to her eye level. "Science project presentation today," she explained, her hands fidgeting with the wheels of her chair. "Ms. Parker said I should practice one more time before class." Nathan nodded, recognizing the name of Lily's science teacher, a woman he'd never met but heard about constantly. Ms. Parker this, Ms. Parker that. According to Lily, the woman walked on water. "Let me get breakfast started and then you can run through it for me," he offered, already heading toward the kitchen. Lily followed, the soft whir of her electric wheelchair a familiar soundtrack to their mornings. "Dad, you don't have to. I know you have that big meeting with the Tokyo investors. Rosa can help me when she gets here." Nathan stopped in his tracks, turning to face his daughter. "I always have time for you, Lily. The investors can wait." It was a promise he'd made when Caroline passed. Lily would always come first. Yet even as the words left his mouth, he felt the familiar pang of guilt. How many school events had he missed? How many times had he left her with Rosa, their housekeeper, while he flew across the country for business? As he prepared Lily's favorite blueberry pancakes, his phone buzzed relentlessly. Nathan ignored it, focusing instead on his daughter's animated explanation of her science project, something about renewable energy sources. "Ms. Parker thinks I might win the regional science fair if I develop this further," Lily said, eyes shining with enthusiasm. "That's wonderful," Nathan replied, sliding a plate of pancakes in front of her. "This Ms. Parker seems to believe in you a lot." "She believes in everyone," Lily said between bites. "But she's especially nice to me. She even stays after school, sometimes to help with my physical therapy exercises when Coach Miller is busy." Nathan frowned slightly. "She's not a physical therapist, though, is she?" "No, but she used to be a dancer before she became a teacher. She knows a lot about movement and stuff. She says it's important to keep my upper body strong." Nathan made a mental note to meet this teacher who seemed to be taking such a personal interest in his daughter. It wasn't that he was ungrateful, quite the opposite, but he'd learned to be cautious about people's intentions, especially when it came to Lily. After breakfast, Rosa arrived, and Nathan reluctantly prepared to leave for work. He kissed Lily on the forehead. "I'll pick you up after school today, okay? No driver, I promise." "Really?" Lily's face lit up with surprise. "But what about your meeting?" "I'll reschedule," Nathan said firmly. "Besides, I think it's time I met this famous Ms. Parker." "The bee." Harrington Investment Group headquarters occupied the top 10 floors of a gleaming skyscraper in downtown Boston. As Nathan stepped out of his private elevator, his assistant, Megan, was already waiting with a tablet in hand. "The Tokyo investors are on standby for the video conference, and your brother called 3 times already," she reported, struggling to keep pace with Nathan's long strides. "Tell James I'll call him back," Nathan replied, "and reschedule Tokyo for tomorrow morning." Megan raised her eyebrows, but knew better than to question him. "Also, the board wants an answer about the Anderson merger by end of day." "They'll get it," Nathan assured her, entering his corner office with its panoramic view of Boston Harbor. The morning flew by in a blur of meetings, calls, and decisions worth millions. Nathan moved through it all with practiced efficiency, his mind occasionally drifting to thoughts of Lily and her science project. At precisely 2:45 p.m., he stood up from a budget meeting. "Gentlemen, I have to pick up my daughter," he announced to the surprised faces of his executive team. "We'll continue this tomorrow." The drive to Beacon Hill Academy normally took 20 minutes, but traffic stretched it to 30. Nathan drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, anxious about being late. He'd promised Lily, and breaking promises was something he couldn't bear to do anymore. When he finally pulled up to the prestigious private school, students were already streaming out of the buildings. Nathan parked in the handicap spot reserved for Lily's usual driver and made his way toward the science building where Lily would be waiting. As he approached the classroom, he heard laughter, Lily's laughter, bright and unrestrained in a way he rarely heard at home. He paused at the doorway, taking in the scene before him. Lily sat in her wheelchair, her head thrown back in delight, as a woman with auburn hair demonstrated something with exaggerated movements. The woman's back was to him, but there was something oddly familiar about the graceful way she moved, the slight tilt of her head. And then Professor Wilson completely tripped over his own feet trying to demonstrate potential energy. The woman was saying, her voice warm and melodic, landed face first in the university fountain. "No way," Lily gasped between giggles. "Way! I have photographic evidence somewhere," the woman assured her, beginning to turn around. "Now, let's get you ready for—" The woman froze mid-sentence as her eyes met Nathan's. The color drained from her face. Nathan felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath him. Those eyes, he would recognize them anywhere. Deep green with flecks of gold, now wide with shock. "Olivia," he breathed, the name escaping his lips before he could stop it. "Nathan," she replied, her voice barely audible. 15 years. It had been 15 years since he'd seen Olivia Taylor, since he'd walked away from her under the pressure of his family's expectations. 15 years since he'd broken both their hearts to fulfill his father's vision of a merger between the Harrington and Montgomery financial empires through his marriage to Caroline. "Dad," Lily's voice broke through the tension, "you actually came, and you're finally meeting Ms. Parker." Ms. Parker. Olivia Taylor was Ms. Parker. The teacher Lily adored, the woman who had been spending hours with his daughter, was the same woman whose heart he had shattered all those years ago. "We've met," Nathan managed to say, unable to tear his gaze away from Olivia. "You have?" Lily looked between them, confusion evident on her face. Olivia recovered first, her professional demeanor sliding back into place like armor. "Your father and I knew each other a long time ago," she explained to Lily, her tone carefully neutral. "Before I became a teacher. At Boston University," Nathan added automatically. "We were friends." The word friends hung in the air between them, a pale shadow of the truth. They had been so much more, soulmates, his first love, the woman he'd planned to spend his life with before duty and family expectations tore them apart. "Small world," Olivia said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Lily, your father's here now, so I should get going. Those lab reports won't grade themselves. But you were going to show me those exercises for my shoulders, Lily protested. Olivia hesitated, her gaze flickering to Nathan. Perhaps another time. Please, Nathan found himself saying. Don't let me interrupt, I can wait. Surprise registered on Olivia's face, quickly replaced by cool professionalism. All right, she agreed, turning her attention back to Lily. Let's go through those stretches one more time. As Nathan watched Olivia guide his daughter through a series of exercises, his mind reeled with memories and questions. What were the odds? Of all the schools in Boston, of all the teachers Lily could have had, how had Olivia ended up here in his daughter's life? And why, after 15 years, did the sight of her still make his heart race as if no time had passed at all? The drive home from Beacon Hill Academy was uncharacteristically quiet. Nathan kept glancing at Lily through the rearview mirror, searching for the right words to explain the tension she had undoubtedly sensed between him and Olivia. But Lily seemed lost in her own thoughts, absently scrolling through her phone, offering only one-word responses to his questions about her day. It wasn't until they were home, with Rosa preparing dinner in the kitchen, that Lily finally broke her silence. So, how do you really know Ms. Parker? She asked, wheeling herself to the large windows overlooking the Boston skyline. Nathan loosened his tie, buying himself a moment. Like we said, we knew each other in college. That's not what I asked, Lily countered, her eyes sharp and perceptive. Mom always said you were a terrible liar. The mention of Caroline sent a familiar ache through Nathan's chest. She had known him better than anyone, except perhaps Olivia. Olivia, Ms. Parker, and I dated in college, he admitted, sinking into the leather armchair across from Lily. For almost 3 years. Was it serious? Lily pressed. Nathan ran a hand through his dark hair, memories flooding back. Olivia's laugh echoing through their tiny apartment near campus, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about dance, the plans they'd made. Yes, he said simply. It was. What happened? Nathan stood, walking to the window. The sunset painted, Boston in shades of gold and amber, reminding him of another sunset 15 years ago, the last time he'd seen Olivia before today. Life happened, he said finally. My father needed me to take over the family business sooner than expected. There were expectations that didn't align with what Olivia and I had planned. You mean Grandpa made you marry Mom instead? Lily translated bluntly. Nathan turned, startled by her insight. It wasn't quite that simple, Lily, wasn't it? Grandpa wanted to merge with Montgomery Financial. Mom was a Montgomery. Convenient marriage, convenient merger. Lily's voice was matter-of-fact, without accusation. Your mother and I grew to care deeply for each other, Nathan said firmly. What began as an arrangement became something real. I know, Dad. Mom told me before she... Lily swallowed hard. She told me she'd never regretted marrying you, even knowing how it started. The knot in Nathan's throat tightened. Caroline had been honest to a fault. It was one of the things he'd grown to love about her. Their marriage had been arranged initially, but they'd built something genuine from it. Still, in those quiet moments between sleep and waking, his mind sometimes wandered back to Olivia and the future they'd planned. Does Ms. Parker have family? Lily asked, changing tack. Nathan realized with a jolt that he knew nothing about Olivia's life in the 15 years since they'd parted. I don't know, he admitted. We haven't spoken since before I married your mother. Lily's eyebrows shot up. So today was the first time you've seen her in 15 years, Nathan confirmed. Wow. Lily wheeled closer to him. That must have been intense. Nathan gave a hollow laugh. You could say that. She's amazing, you know, Lily said softly. All the students love her, but she's especially kind to me. She never treats me like I'm broken. The simple statement pierced Nathan's heart. Despite his best efforts, he knew he sometimes treated Lily with excessive caution, reminded constantly of her vulnerability by the wheelchair. Apparently, Olivia saw beyond it. I'm glad she's a good teacher, Nathan said carefully. She's more than that, Lily insisted. She believes in me. She says my accident doesn't define me. Nathan nodded, unable to speak. He'd spent 3 years trying to protect Lily from any further pain after the car accident that took Caroline and left Lily partially paralyzed. In his determination to keep her safe, had he been holding her back? Well, he managed finally. I'm grateful she's been there for you. You should thank her, Lily suggested, a gleam in her eye that reminded Nathan uncomfortably of Caroline when she was scheming something. Properly. Maybe dinner. Lily? What? You said yourself that you were friends, and she's done a lot for me. It's the polite thing to do. Before Nathan could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and sighed. It's your Uncle James. I need to take this. As Nathan stepped away to answer his brother's call, he didn't notice the determined look on Lily's face or the way she pulled out her own phone, quickly typing something. The following morning, Nathan arrived at Beacon Hill Academy 30 minutes before classes were scheduled to begin. He'd barely slept, his mind racing with memories and questions. He needed to speak with Olivia privately, to clear the air, before their unexpected reconnection complicated Lily's education. The science building was quiet, most students still arriving or gathered in the cafeteria for breakfast. Nathan made his way to room 212, where Lily had her classes with Olivia. The door was open, and he could see her at her desk, head bent over papers, a cup of coffee steaming beside her. She wore her auburn hair pulled back in a loose bun, tendrils escaping to frame her face. Reading glasses perched on her nose. That was new. So was the air of quiet confidence she exuded, different from the exuberant dancer he'd known in college. Nathan knocked softly on the doorframe. Olivia looked up, her expression shifting from surprise to wariness. Nathan, she said coolly, removing her glasses. This is unexpected. I was hoping we could talk, he replied, remaining in the doorway. About yesterday. Olivia set her pen down and gestured to the chair across from her desk. I have 15 minutes before homeroom. Nathan entered, suddenly feeling like an awkward schoolboy rather than the CEO of a billion-dollar investment firm. He sat, noticing the personal touches around Olivia's classroom, quotes about science and discovery, photographs of students with science fair projects, a small potted plant with purple flowers. I wanted to apologize for yesterday, he began. I was caught off guard. That makes 2 of us, Olivia replied. When Lily Harrington joined my class last semester, I never made the connection. Different last name. She uses Caroline's maiden name at school, Nathan explained, for privacy. Montgomery, Olivia nodded. I remember. The unspoken implication hung between them. Of course, she remembered the family that had essentially replaced her in Nathan's life. Olivia, It's fine, Nathan, she interrupted, her voice firm but not unkind. It was 15 years ago. Ancient history. Is it? He asked quietly. Something flickered in her eyes, pain, anger, he couldn't tell, before she masked it with professionalism. It has to be. Lily is my student, and I take that responsibility very seriously. Whatever happened between us can't interfere with her education. Of course, Nathan agreed immediately. That's why I wanted to talk. To make sure we're on the same page. We are, Olivia assured him, though her tight grip on her pen suggested otherwise. Lily is an exceptional young woman, brilliant, resilient, kind. You should be very proud. I am, Nathan said softly, and grateful for your influence on her. She speaks very highly of you. Olivia's expression softened slightly. The feeling is mutual. She's overcome challenges that would have defeated most adults, let alone teenagers. A moment of understanding passed between them, shared admiration for Lily, bridging the chasm of their complicated past. She mentioned you've been helping her with physical therapy exercises. Nathan ventured. Olivia nodded. Just basic stretches to complement what her regular therapist does. Dance training gives you a good understanding of body mechanics. You're not dancing anymore? The question slipped out before Nathan could stop it. Dance had been Olivia's passion, her dream. She'd been accepted to the Boston Ballet School the same week he'd told her they needed to end things. A shadow crossed Olivia's face. No, she said simply, not professionally. Life took me in a different direction. Before Nathan could ask more, the classroom door opened and a student stuck her head in. Ms. Parker, Dr. Whitman needs to see you before homeroom. I'll be right there, Emma, Olivia replied, standing and effectively ending their conversation. I should go. Nathan rose as well. Of course, thank you for your time. As he turned to leave, Olivia called after him. Nathan, he paused, looking back. I was sorry to hear about Caroline, she said quietly. Lily mentioned it was sudden. That must have been incredibly difficult for both of you. The genuine empathy in her voice caught him off guard. Thank you, he managed. It was unexpected, an aneurysm. One moment she was there, the next. Olivia nodded, understanding in her eyes. If there's ever anything Lily needs, beyond what I can offer as her teacher, please let me know. She's special. She is, Nathan agreed, a lump forming in his throat. I appreciate that, Olivia. As he walked back to his car, Nathan felt both, relieved and unsettled. The conversation had been civil, even warm at moments, but beneath the surface he sensed currents of unresolved emotion. Olivia had changed. The vibrant, passionate dancer had become this composed, measured teacher. What else had changed in her life? What had she experienced in the years they'd been apart? And why, despite the professional courtesy of their interaction, did he feel that Olivia was keeping him at a careful distance, guarding herself against something? His phone chimed with a text from his assistant, reminding him of a 9 a.m. meeting with the board. Nathan started his car, trying to shift his focus back to work, but his mind kept returning to the woman he'd just left, and the unmistakable pain he'd glimpsed behind her professional facade. 3 weeks passed in a strange new rhythm. Nathan found himself at Beacon Hill Academy more frequently, picking up Lily rather than sending the driver. Each visit brought brief encounters with Olivia, polite smiles, cordial exchanges about Lily's progress, careful avoidance of anything personal. Yet beneath the civility, Nathan sensed a wall around Olivia, impenetrable and deliberate. It was Lily who finally disrupted their careful dance. Dad, I need Ms. Parker to come over tonight, she announced one afternoon as Nathan drove her home. Nathan nearly missed a red light. What? Why? My science. Fair project, Lily explained, flipping through her notebook. The regional competition is in 2 weeks, and I'm stuck on the solar panel configuration. Ms. Parker offered to help, but we need more space than her classroom. Can't you video call with her? Nathan suggested, ignoring the uncomfortable flutter in his stomach. Lily rolled her eyes. For a practical demonstration of solar panel angles? No, Dad. Besides, she already agreed. I just need to tell her which apartment to come to. Nathan gripped the steering wheel tighter. You invited her without asking me first? I knew you'd say yes, Lily replied with unshakable confidence. You always say education comes first, and this is educational. Cornered by his own rhetoric, Nathan sighed. Fine. Text her the address and security information. What time? 7, Lily said, already typing on her phone. And Dad, try not to be weird. I'm never weird, Nathan protested. You get all stiff and formal around her, like you're in a board meeting, Lily observed. It's weird. Nathan opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. His daughter was far too perceptive for her own good, just like her mother had been. At precisely 7 p.m., the penthouse elevator chimed, and Olivia stepped into their home. She wore jeans and a simple green sweater that brought out the gold flecks in her eyes, her auburn hair loose around her shoulders. She carried a large bag full of what appeared to be solar panel components and a bottle of wine. "Hello," she greeted them, a hint of nervousness in her smile. "I hope I'm not intruding." "Not at all," Nathan assured her, taking the wine. "This is thoughtful." "Ms. Parker," Lily exclaimed, wheeling toward her teacher. "I cleared the dining table for us to work." "Perfect," Olivia replied, her entire demeanor softening as she addressed Lily. "I brought some mini panels we can use to test different configurations." Nathan watched as they settled at the table, quickly absorbed in discussions of angles, sunlight exposure, and energy efficiency. Olivia spoke to Lily as an equal, challenging her thinking while encouraging her ideas. The respect she showed his daughter, not pity, not condescension, but genuine intellectual engagement, touched something deep in Nathan's heart. After preparing dinner for the three of them, Nathan found himself drawn into their conversation. Before long, he was suggesting improvements to Lily's prototype, his business mind identifying practical applications for her design. "That's actually brilliant," Olivia admitted when he proposed a modular approach. "The scaling potential would be much greater." Their eyes met over Lily's head, a moment of genuine connection that felt like a crack in the wall between them. After dinner, while Lily worked on integrating their suggestions into her project design, Nathan and Olivia found themselves alone in the kitchen. "Thank you for this," Nathan said quietly, refilling her wine glass. "She's been more animated tonight than I've seen in months." "Lily's a remarkable young woman," Olivia replied, leaning against the counter. "She doesn't let anything stop her." "She reminds me of someone else I used to know," Nathan said before he could stop himself. "Someone who never took no for an answer." Olivia's expression clouded. "People change, Nathan." "Not fundamentally," he argued gently. "Not at their core." She took a sip of wine, her gaze distant. "Sometimes circumstances force you to change at your core." Before Nathan could ask what she meant, Lily called from the dining room, "Miss Parker, I think I solved it." The moment broken, Olivia set down her glass and moved to rejoin Lily, leaving Nathan with the distinct feeling that he'd just glimpsed something important, a piece of the puzzle that was Olivia's life after him. As the evening came to a close, Nathan insisted on calling Olivia a car service rather than letting her take the subway so late. "It's really not necessary," she protested as they waited for the elevator. "Humor me," he replied, "for old time's sake." A ghost of a smile touched her lips. "You always were overprotective, and you were always stubbornly independent," he countered, returning her smile. Lily, watching their exchange with undisguised interest, suddenly yawned dramatically. "I'm exhausted. Miss Parker, thank you so much for coming. Dad, can you see her down while I get ready for bed?" Before either adult could respond, Lily had wheeled herself down the hallway toward her bedroom, leaving them alone. "She's not subtle," Olivia remarked, amusement in her voice. "Never has been," Nathan agreed, pressing the elevator button. "Caroline used to say Lily was transparently devious." "You must miss her," Olivia said softly. "Caroline." Nathan nodded, the familiar ache present, but somehow less consuming than usual. "Every day. But it's different now. Less raw." The elevator arrived and Olivia stepped in, turning to face him. "Thank you for dinner. It was nicer than I expected." "High praise," Nathan said with a wry smile. "What were you expecting?" "Awkwardness, tension, maybe some thinly veiled hostility," she admitted. "Not this." "This?" "Ease," she clarified. "It shouldn't be this easy to talk to you after everything." The doors began to close, and Nathan impulsively held them. "Open, maybe that means something." Olivia's expression turned guarded. "It means we're adults who can be civil for Lily's sake." "Is that all it is?" he pressed. "It has to be," she replied, her voice firm despite the uncertainty in her eyes. "Good night, Nathan." He reluctantly stepped back, allowing the doors to close. "Good night, Olivia." 2 days later, Nathan sat in his office, staring at financial projections without really seeing them. His mind kept drifting to the evening with Olivia and Lily, how natural it had felt, how right. And beneath that, the nagging question, what had happened to Olivia in the years they'd been apart? A knock at his door pulled him from his thoughts. His brother James entered without waiting for a response. "You missed the family dinner last night," James said, dropping into the chair across from Nathan's desk. At 45, James was 5 years older than Nathan, with the same dark hair now threaded with silver and the sharp features that marked all Harrington men. "I was helping Lily with her science project," Nathan replied, not entirely truthfully. James raised an eyebrow. "Dad wasn't pleased. He wanted to discuss the Morgan acquisition with you." "He has my proposal. If he has questions, he can call me directly." "He shouldn't have to," James countered. "Family dinners are tradition, Nate, especially now that it's just the 4 of us since Caroline." "Don't," Nathan warned. James sighed. "All I'm saying is that you've been distracted lately. Dad's noticed. I've noticed." "What's going on?" Nathan considered deflecting, but James had always been able to see through him. "I ran into someone from my past. Someone important." James frowned. "Who?" "Olivia Taylor." His brother's expression shifted from confusion to recognition to alarm in the span of seconds. "Olivia, your college girlfriend, the dancer? She's Lily's science teacher now," Nathan explained. "Has been all semester, apparently." James let out a low whistle. "Well, that's quite a coincidence." "It's been 15 years, James," Nathan said defensively. "She's moved on. I've moved on." "Have you?" James asked shrewdly. "Because you've got that same look you had sophomore year when you first met her." "That's ridiculous," Nathan scoffed, though the accuracy of his brother's observation made him uneasy. "Is it? Remember what happened last time, Nathan? Dad nearly had a coronary when you threatened to leave the company for her." "I remember perfectly well what happened," Nathan replied coldly. "I chose family obligation over my own happiness. I chose the merger that saved this company." James had the grace to look uncomfortable. "I know you sacrificed a lot. We all did. Some more than others." An uncomfortable silence stretched between them before James spoke again. "Just be careful, Nathan. You have Lily to think about now, and the company." "I'm always thinking about Lily," Nathan said sharply. "And as for the company, I've given it 20 years of my life." "Maybe that's enough." James stared at him. "You don't mean that." Nathan ran a hand through his hair, suddenly tired. "I don't know what I mean anymore." After James left, Nathan found himself pulling up a search engine, typing Olivia Taylor, Boston, into the bar. Moments later, he was scrolling through results, her faculty page at Beacon Hill Academy, a few academic publications on science education, a brief mention in an article about an educational charity she volunteered with. Nothing personal. Nothing that explained the shadow he'd seen in her eyes when she said circumstances could change someone at their core. On impulse, Nathan picked up his phone and called an old college friend who had remained close with Olivia over the years. "Michael, it's Nathan Harrington. I need to ask you something about Olivia Taylor." 2 hours later, Nathan sat in his car outside Beacon Hill Academy, his mind reeling with what Michael had told him. The dismissal bell rang, and students began streaming out of the buildings. Nathan watched as Olivia emerged from the science building, chatting with a colleague. She looked relaxed, professional, completely unaware of the bombshell Nathan now carried. A child. They had conceived a child, and Olivia had lost the baby in her second trimester, just weeks after Nathan had ended their relationship to marry Caroline. A son she had named Thomas after her grandfather. A loss she had endured alone, never telling Nathan about the pregnancy or the miscarriage. The weight of this knowledge pressed on Nathan's chest like a stone. All these years, he'd thought his betrayal had only wounded Olivia's heart. He'd never imagined the full extent of what she had lost, what they had both lost. As if sensing his presence, Olivia looked up, her eyes finding his car among the line of vehicles waiting for students. Her smile faded, replaced by a questioning look. Nathan raised his hand in a small wave, and after a moment's hesitation, she excused herself from her colleague and walked toward him. He stepped out of the car to meet her, struggling to keep his expression neutral despite the storm of emotions inside him. "Nathan," she greeted him cautiously, "is everything okay with Lily?" "Lily's fine," he assured her. "I was hoping we could talk. Properly talk." Olivia glanced back at the school, then at Nathan. "This isn't a good time. I have papers to grade." "Please, Olivia," he said softly. "It's important." Something in his tone must have reached her, because after a long moment she nodded. "There's a coffee shop 2 blocks from here. I can spare 30 minutes. As they walked in silence toward the coffee shop, Nathan struggled with how to approach the subject. How did one begin a conversation 15 years overdue? How could he possibly address the magnitude of what she had suffered, what they had both lost? What he didn't realize was that this conversation would be the first step toward healing wounds. Neither of them had acknowledged for far too long, and toward a future neither of them had dared to imagine could exist. The coffee shop was a quiet refuge from the bustle of Boston streets, with warm lighting and the comforting aroma of freshly ground beans. Olivia led Nathan to a corner table away from other patrons, setting down her bag before removing her coat. "So," she said once they were seated with their drinks, tea for her, black coffee for him, just as she remembered. "What's so important it couldn't wait?" Nathan wrapped his hands around his mug, gathering courage. "I spoke with Michael Walsh yesterday." The color drained from Olivia's face. She set her cup down with a trembling hand, tea sloshing over the rim. "I see." "Why didn't you tell me, Olivia?" Nathan asked quietly, his voice strained with emotion. "About the baby. About Thomas." Olivia closed her eyes briefly, as if absorbing a physical blow. When she opened them again, they shimmered with unshed tears. "When exactly was I supposed to tell you, Nathan? After you told me your father had arranged your marriage to Caroline? After you said we had no future? Or maybe at your wedding, which was splashed across every newspaper in Boston?" The bitterness in her voice cut through him. "You should have told me anyway. I had a right to know." "A right," Olivia repeated, her voice rising slightly before she caught herself, glancing around the cafe. She leaned forward, her words barely above a whisper. "You gave up any rights when you walked away. You made your choice." "If I had known—" "What?" she challenged. "What would you have done differently? Would you have defied your father, abandoned the family business, chosen me instead of duty?" Her laugh was hollow. "We both know the answer to that. Nathan stared into his coffee, unable to deny her words. Would he have made a different choice? He'd like to think so, but the truth was messier than that. The Harrington Investment Group had been on the verge of collapse. The merger with Montgomery, financial, sealed by his marriage to Caroline, had saved thousands of jobs, including his father's legacy. "I'm sorry," he said finally, the words woefully inadequate, "for everything you went through alone, for not being there, for not knowing." Olivia's expression softened slightly. "I didn't tell you to punish you, Nathan. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you ended things. I was going to tell you, but then the announcement of your engagement came out. It was clear you'd moved on. I didn't want to complicate your new life or make you feel obligated." "And when you lost him?" Nathan asked gently. Pain flickered across Olivia's face. "By then you were married. What good would it have done to tell you? It would have only caused more hurt for everyone involved. Besides, grief is private." "You shouldn't have. Had to face it alone," Nathan insisted. "I wasn't entirely alone," Olivia replied. "My sister was there, and later my work became my salvation. Teaching gave me purpose when I felt lost." Nathan studied her face, seeing 15 years of unspoken pain and resilience etched in the fine lines around her eyes. "Is that why you stopped dancing?" Olivia tensed, then nodded slowly. "Partly. The physical toll of the miscarriage was significant. By the time I recovered physically, the emotional wounds were too raw. The studio where I used to dance had too many memories. And the Boston Ballet acceptance. It felt like it belonged to a different person, from a different life." She paused. "So I went back to school, got my degree in education with a focus on sciences. Turned out I had an aptitude for it." "You're an excellent teacher," Nathan acknowledged. "Lily adores you." A genuine smile lit Olivia's face at the mention of his daughter. "Lily makes it easy. She has such a curious mind." "Like her mother," Nathan said softly. "Caroline was always questioning everything." They fell silent, the weight of the past pressing down on them both. Finally, Olivia spoke again. "Why did you want to know about Thomas now, after all these years?" she asked. "What does it change?" Nathan considered his answer carefully. "It doesn't change the past, but it helps me understand. You. The wall I've felt between us since we reconnected. The reason you keep me at a distance." "That's not just about Thomas," Olivia said quietly. "It's about trust, Nathan. You broke mine once before. Completely. It took years to rebuild my life." "I understand that," Nathan replied. "And I know I have no right to ask anything of you. But for Lily's sake, and maybe for our own, I'd like to try to move forward, not as if the past never happened, but in spite of it." Olivia studied him, her expression a mixture of wariness and something else, perhaps longing. "What exactly does moving forward mean to you?" "Honestly, I don't know," Nathan admitted. "Friendship, maybe? A clean slate? I just know that having you back in my life, in Lily's life, feels right somehow, despite everything." "I care about Lily," Olivia said carefully, "and I'm willing to be civil with you for her sake. But friendship requires trust, and trust has to be earned, Nathan. It doesn't just happen because we share a complicated history or because you now know about Thomas." Nathan nodded, accepting her boundaries. "Fair enough. How about we start with dinner? You, me, and Lily. No pressure, no expectations. Just a meal together." Olivia hesitated, then gave a small nod. "I can do that." As they left the coffee shop, Nathan felt as if something had shifted between them. Not resolution, not forgiveness, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. It was more than he'd dared to hope for. That understanding was tested sooner than either expected. The following Saturday, Nathan hosted the dinner he'd proposed, preparing his signature risotto with Lily's eager assistance. The evening began pleasantly enough, with easy conversation flowing over appetizers. Nathan was struck once again by how naturally Olivia fit into their home, as if she belonged there. Halfway through dinner, the elevator chimed, announcing an unexpected visitor. Nathan frowned, setting down his wineglass. Rosa must have forgotten something. Died. But it wasn't Rosa who stepped into the penthouse. It was Nathan's father, William Harrington, his imposing figure impeccably dressed as always, his silver hair perfectly groomed despite the late hour. "Dad," Nathan said, rising from his chair in surprise. "I wasn't expecting you." William's gaze swept over the dinner table, lingering on Olivia. "Clearly," he said dryly. "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by to discuss the Morgan proposal. I didn't realize you had company." Nathan moved to his father's side, keeping his voice low. "This isn't a good time." "So I see," William replied, his eyes never leaving Olivia. "Miss Taylor, isn't it? It's been quite some time." Olivia stood, her posture straight, her expression composed despite the tension radiating from her. "Mr. Harrington." "Yes, it has been a while." "Grandpa!" Lily exclaimed, wheeling around the table. "You remember Miss Parker? She's my science teacher now." "Is she indeed?" William's tone was pleasant, but Nathan recognized the calculating look in his father's eyes. What a remarkable coincidence. "Not so remarkable in a city this size," Olivia countered smoothly. "Boston's academic community is fairly small." William nodded, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Nathan, perhaps we could speak privately for a moment." Before Nathan could refuse, Olivia gathered her purse. "Actually, I should be going. It's getting late and I have papers to grade tomorrow." "You don't have to leave," Nathan protested. "I really should," Olivia insisted, her eyes communicating what her words couldn't, that she had no desire to relive old conflicts with the elder Harrington. "Lily, thank you for a lovely evening. I'll see you in class on Monday." "But we haven't had dessert yet," Lily objected, shooting an annoyed glance at her grandfather. "Another time," Olivia promised, already moving toward the elevator. "Good night, Mr. Harrington. Nathan." After she left, a heavy silence filled the penthouse. Lily glared at her grandfather before wheeling away toward her bedroom, leaving Nathan alone with William. "That was unnecessary," Nathan said coldly. William poured himself a glass of the wine Nathan and Olivia had been sharing. "On the contrary, I think it was quite necessary. What are you doing, Nathan?" "Having dinner with my daughter and her teacher," Nathan replied evenly. "A teacher who happens to be someone I once cared about deeply." "Once," William emphasized. "Past tense. Before you built a life with Caroline. Before you had responsibilities." Caroline has been gone for 3 years," Nathan reminded him. "And that makes it appropriate to rekindle things with a woman you left behind decades ago?" William asked sharply. "A woman who has clearly insinuated herself into Lily's life?" "Olivia didn't insinuate herself anywhere," Nathan snapped. "She's an excellent teacher who has been helping Lily far beyond what her job requires. And any rekindling, as you put it, is none of your concern." William set down his glass with deliberate calm. "Everything about this family is my concern, Nathan. Everything about this company is my concern. I didn't spend 50 years building the Harrington legacy for you to jeopardize it on a whim." "A whim?" Nathan repeated incredulously. "Is that what you think this is? What you thought it was 15 years ago? A whim?" I think," William said carefully, "that you're still grieving Caroline, and that's making you nostalgic for a simpler time, before responsibility, before Lily's accident, before you understood what was truly at stake." Nathan felt a familiar, anger building within him, the same anger he'd suppressed 15 years ago when he'd acquiesced to his father's wishes. What was at stake then was my happiness. What's at stake now is the same thing. Your happiness, William scoffed. What about Lily's stability? What about the 5,000 employees who depend on your clear judgment? What about the shareholders who trust you to put the company first? I have put the company first for 20 years, Nathan replied, his voice dangerously quiet. I put it before my own heart once before. I won't do it again. William's expression hardened. Think carefully about what you're saying, son. The Montgomery shares that Caroline held, the ones now in trust for Lily until she turns 21, are what keep us in control of the board. If James Morgan gets wind of even the slightest instability in the Harrington family leadership, he'll make another play for those shares. Is that a threat? Nathan asked. It's a reality check, William corrected. One you seem to need. After his father left, Nathan found Lily in her room, angrily flipping through a science textbook. I'm sorry about that, he said, sitting on the edge of her bed. Lily closed the book with a thud. Grandpa had no right to chase Ms. Parker away. She was uncomfortable, Dad. I could see it on her face. I know, Nathan sighed. Your grandfather can be protective of the family. Protective? More like controlling, Lily muttered. Mom used to say he treated the family like another corporation to manage. Nathan couldn't help but smile at that. It was exactly the kind of observation Caroline would make. Your mother was a wise woman. You really like Miss Parker, don't you? Lily asked suddenly, her perceptive eyes studying his face. Nathan hesitated, then nodded. I do. I always have. Then don't let Grandpa ruin it this time, Lily said firmly. Mom wouldn't want you to be alone forever. The simple statement caught Nathan off guard. What makes you say that? Lily's expression softened. She told me once, before the accident, she said if anything ever happened to her, she hoped you would find love again because you had too much heart to keep it all to yourself. Nathan felt tears pricking at his eyes. She said that? Yeah, Lily confirmed. Mom knew you, Dad, better than you know yourself sometimes. Later that night, Nathan stood at the window of his bedroom, looking out at the Boston skyline. His conversation with his father had reopened old wounds, reminding him painfully of the choices he'd made and their consequences. But Lily's words about Caroline had touched something deep within him, permission, perhaps, to consider a future he hadn't dared imagine. He picked up his phone and, before he could talk himself out of it, typed a message to Olivia. I'm sorry about tonight. My father's timing has always been impeccable in the worst possible way. Rain check. He waited, watching the screen, doubting she would respond. But a minute later his phone lit up. Some things never change. Yes to the rain check, but only for Lily's sake. Nathan smiled despite himself. Even in a text message, Olivia maintained her boundaries. He typed back, of course, only for Lily. What he didn't write, what he couldn't yet put into words, was that seeing Olivia with Lily had awakened something in him he'd thought long dead. Hope. Hope that perhaps the greatest mistake of his past could somehow lead to a future he'd long since abandoned. But as he set down his phone, Nathan couldn't shake his father's warning. The stability he'd built for Lily, the legacy he'd protected. For 20 years, all of it could be at risk if he followed his heart, and this time the stakes were even higher than before. The regional science fair was held in the grand ballroom of the Boston Convention Center, with projects from over 50 schools across New England. Nathan arrived early, navigating through the maze of display boards and nervous students to find Lily's station. His daughter sat beside her project, an innovative modular solar panel system that could adapt to various surface angles, looking simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. "You'll be amazing," Nathan assured her, adjusting her display one last time. "You know this project inside and out." "What if they ask something I can't answer?" Lily fretted, smoothing her blazer. "Then you'll say exactly what you told me last night, that unknown variables are opportunities for future research." Nathan replied with a smile. "That's what scientists do." Lily took a deep breath, nodding. "Is Miss Parker here yet? She promised she'd come." Nathan scanned the growing crowd. "I don't see her, but there's still time before judging begins." As if summoned by their conversation, Olivia appeared, making her way through the throng of parents and students. She wore a forest green dress that complemented her auburn hair, which she'd swept into an elegant updo. Nathan felt his heart skip a beat, a reaction that both annoyed and amused him. 40 years old, and he still responded to her like the lovesick college student he'd once been. "Miss Parker," Lily exclaimed, "you made it!" "I wouldn't miss it," Olivia replied warmly, bending to hug Lily. Her eyes met Nathan's over Lily's shoulder, her smile more reserved but genuine. "Everything. Ready?" "As ready as it'll ever be," Lily admitted. "She's been practicing her presentation all week," Nathan added. "You'll be brilliant," Olivia assured Lily. "Just remember to breathe." An announcement over the loudspeaker informed them that judging would begin in 15 minutes, and all non-participants needed to clear the floor. "That's our cue," Nathan said, squeezing Lily's shoulder. "We'll be right over there if you need us." "You've got this, Lily," Olivia added. "Remember what we talked about. Confidence in your research." As they moved to the spectator area, Nathan and Olivia found themselves standing side by side, watching Lily prepare for the judge's arrival. "She looks so grown up," Nathan observed. "Sometimes I still see her as that little girl who needed me for everything." "That's natural," Olivia replied. "But you've done an amazing job raising her to be independent despite her physical challenges." "I can't take all the credit," Nathan said honestly. "Caroline was a remarkable mother for 14 years, and more recently, you've had a profound impact on her confidence." Olivia glanced at him, surprised by the candid acknowledgement. "She makes it easy. Lily has a beautiful spirit." They watched in silence as the judges approached Lily's station. She straightened in her wheelchair, her expression transforming from nervousness to self-assured poise as she began her presentation. "Look at her," Olivia whispered, pride evident in her voice. "She's absolutely commanding that space." Nathan nodded, his chest tight with emotion. "Yes, she is." For the next hour, they observed as judge after judge stopped at Lily's project, asking questions that she fielded with impressive knowledge and creativity. When the final judging concluded, Lily looked up at them with a triumphant grin and a thumbs up. "I think that went well," Nathan remarked as they made their way back to Lily's station. "It went amazing," Lily exclaimed. "Dr. Chen from MIT said my approach to adaptive solar positioning was innovative. He asked if I'd applied to their summer program." "That's wonderful," Olivia said, beaming. "I told you your work was university level." As they celebrated Lily's success, Nathan noticed his father and brother entering the convention center. His smile faded slightly. "Dad, what's wrong?" Lily asked, following his gaze. "Oh, Grandpa and Uncle James are here." "They said they might stop by," Nathan explained, though he was surprised they'd actually shown up. William Harrington rarely attended school functions. As William and James approached, Nathan noted the tight set of his father's jaw and the uncomfortable expression on his brother's face. Something was wrong. "Lily," William greeted his granddaughter with a rare smile, "your uncle and I wanted to show our support for your scientific endeavors." "Thank you for coming, Grandpa," Lily replied politely, though Nathan could see her. Enthusiasm had dimmed. William's gaze shifted to Olivia, his smile cooling several degrees. "Ms. Parker, still involving yourself in my family's affairs, I see." "I'm here as Lily's teacher and mentor," Olivia responded evenly, "as are dozens of other educators." An awkward silence fell over the group until James cleared his throat. "Lily, why don't you show me your project? I hear it's quite innovative." As James wheeled Lily a short distance away, William turned to Nathan. "We need to talk, now." "This isn't the time or place," Nathan replied firmly. "I'm afraid it is," William insisted. "James Morgan called an emergency board meeting for Monday morning. He's making another play for the Montgomery shares in Lily's trust." Nathan stiffened. "He can't touch those. Caroline's will was explicit. He's arguing that the trust management should be transferred from you to a neutral third party due to concerns about your judgment and focus," William said pointedly, his gaze flicking to Olivia. "My judgment?" Nathan repeated incredulously. "I've increased company value by 30% in 3 years." "This isn't about financial performance," William said. "It's about perception. Morgan's been gathering intelligence. Your increased absences from the office, frequent visits to Beacon Hill Academy, private meetings with Ms. Parker. He's suggesting you're distracted by a personal relationship that could impact company stability." Olivia, who had been trying to give them privacy, couldn't help but overhear. "I should go," she said quietly to Nathan. "This is clearly a family matter." "No," Nathan replied firmly, placing a hand on her arm. "Stay. This concerns you too." He turned back to his father. "What exactly is Morgan proposing?" "A vote of no confidence in your leadership," William said bluntly. "If it passes, you'll be removed as CEO and control of Lily's shares will transfer to the board until she comes of age." "That's outrageous," Nathan growled. "The board won't support it." "They might," William countered. "If Morgan convinces them you're repeating the same pattern as 15 years ago, allowing personal entanglements to cloud your business judgment." "The difference," Nathan said icily, "is that 15 years ago I gave in to your manipulation. I won't make that mistake again." William's expression hardened. "This isn't about you, Nathan. It's about Lily's future. Caroline's legacy, everything we've built." "No," Nathan corrected, his voice dangerously quiet. "This is about control. Your control. It always has been." Olivia touched Nathan's arm gently. "Nathan, I don't want to be the cause of problems between you and your family or your company. Perhaps we should take a step back, reconsider." "Don't you see?" Nathan interrupted, turning to her with fierce intensity. "That's exactly what they want. That's what happened before. I let them dictate my choices, my life. I lost you once because of it. I won't lose you again." The raw emotion in his voice silenced both Olivia and William. Nathan rarely spoke so openly about his feelings, but the events of the past weeks, reconnecting with Olivia, learning about the child they'd lost, watching her bond with Lily, had broken something open inside him. "Dad?" Lily's voice cut through the tension as she wheeled back to their group, James following behind. "What's going on? Why does everyone look so serious?" Before Nathan could respond, an announcer called for attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, the judges have reached their decisions. Would all participants please return to their stations for the awards presentation?" "You should go," Nathan told Lily, forcing a smile. "This is your moment." As Lily rejoined the other students, Nathan turned back to his father and brother. "This discussion is over. I'm not walking away from Olivia again. Not for the company, not for the board, not even for you." "Nathan," James began, "be reasonable. No one's asking you to, aren't you?" Nathan challenged. Isn't that exactly what this is about, making me choose between my personal happiness and the company? Well, I choose differently this time. Olivia placed a hand on his arm. Nathan, please, don't make decisions in anger. There's too much at stake. I'm not angry, Nathan replied, his voice calmer. For the first time in 15 years, I'm thinking clearly. He looked directly at his father. Handle the board meeting however you see fit. If they want to remove me, let them try. I've spent 20 years putting this company first. I won't do it anymore. Not at the expense of what really matters. The announcement of winners began, momentarily halting their conversation. All eyes turned to the stage as categories were called and prizes awarded. When they reached the Innovation in Sustainable Energy category, Nathan held his breath. First place with a unanimous decision from our judges, Lily Montgomery Harrington from Beacon Hill Academy. The crowd erupted in applause as Lily's name was called. Nathan watched with swelling pride as she wheeled herself to the stage, a ramp having been prepared for accessibility. As she accepted her trophy, her face alight with joy, Nathan felt a sense of clarity washing over him. She's extraordinary, Olivia whispered beside him. Yes, Nathan agreed. And she deserves to see her father fight for what he believes in, not just what's expected of him. The awards ceremony concluded, and Lily returned to them, clutching her trophy and a certificate for a scholarship to MIT's summer program for exceptional high school students. I won, she exclaimed, her eyes shining. I actually won. Of course you did, Nathan replied, bending to hug her tightly. You're brilliant. Congratulations, Lily, William said stiffly. A Harrington always excels. Actually, Grandpa, Lily replied with unexpected firmness. I think I won because Miss Parker believed in me when everyone else just saw a girl in a wheelchair. She never treated me like I was broken or needed special treatment. She just pushed me to be better. William looked taken aback by his granddaughter's candor. For perhaps the first time, he seemed to truly see Olivia, not as a threat to his plans, but as someone who had profoundly influenced his granddaughter for the better. Is that so? He said eventually, his gaze assessing Olivia with newfound consideration. It is, Lily insisted, and I'm not the only one. Miss Parker makes everyone around her better, even Dad. He smiles more now. He's not just working all the time. An uncomfortable silence followed Lily's heartfelt declaration. Finally, James spoke up. Perhaps we should continue this discussion later. Today should be about celebrating Lily's achievement. A wise suggestion, William agreed, though his expression remained troubled. Nathan, we'll speak before the board meeting. As William and James departed, Lily looked between Nathan and Olivia with concern. Did I say something wrong? Not at all, Nathan assured her. You spoke your truth, and I'm proud of you for that. Always, Olivia added, squeezing Lily's shoulder. That evening, after celebrating Lily's victory with a special dinner, Nathan found himself on the penthouse balcony, staring out at the Boston skyline. The confrontation with his father had shaken him more than he cared to admit. 20 years of doing what was expected, of putting family legacy above personal desires, had left its mark. He heard the balcony door slide open behind him. Lily's finally asleep, Olivia said, stepping out to join him. The excitement wore her out. Thank you for staying, Nathan replied. It meant a lot to her. To me, too. Olivia nodded, leaning against the railing beside him. We need to talk about what happened today. My father's ultimatum, you mean? It wasn't just your father, Olivia pointed out gently. It's the reality of your position, Nathan. Your responsibilities to the company, to the shareholders, to Lily's inheritance. Nathan turned to face her, his expression serious. What are you saying? I'm saying that I won't be the reason you lose everything you've worked for. Olivia replied, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes. I won't let history repeat itself. That's not your decision to make, Nathan countered. Not alone, anyway. Isn't it? Olivia challenged. 15 years ago, you chose your family obligations over us. At the time, I hated you for it. But with perspective, I understand why you made that choice. The company was in trouble. Thousands of jobs were at stake. Your father's legacy. And I regretted it every day, Nathan admitted. Even when Caroline and I built a good life together, even when Lily came along and brought so much joy, there was always this hollow place inside me. The road not taken, the choice I made out of duty instead of love. Nathan, let me finish, he insisted gently. When Caroline passed, that hollow place grew. I threw myself into work, into being both parents for Lily, into anything that would distract me from the emptiness. And then you walked back into my life, and suddenly that hollow place started to fill again. Not just because of what we once had, but because of who you are now. The woman you've become, the way you care for Lily, the way you've rebuilt your life after unimaginable loss. Olivia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I didn't mean to disrupt your life, Nathan, or Lily's. You didn't disrupt it, he corrected. You enhanced it. You reminded me there's more to life than balance sheets and board meetings. You helped me see Lily not just as someone to protect, but as a brilliant young woman with unlimited potential. Your father will never accept this, Olivia warned. He'll fight you every step of the way. Probably, Nathan agreed with a wry smile. But I'm not 25 anymore, too afraid to disappoint him. I've earned the right to choose my own path. And the company? Olivia pressed. The board meeting? I'll handle it, Nathan assured her. I've been preparing for Morgan's power play for months. He won't find the support he expects. Olivia studied his face, searching for any sign of doubt. You're really willing to risk everything for this? For us? Not risk, Nathan corrected. Prioritize. There's a difference. He took her hands in his. Olivia, I'm not asking for promises or commitments. I know we have 15 years of separation to overcome, 15 years of hurt and missed opportunities. All I'm asking is for a chance, for us to explore what might be possible now, without my father's interference or corporate politics standing in our way. And Lily, Olivia asked softly, where does she fit in all this? Lily adores you, Nathan replied simply. She sees what I see, someone extraordinary who makes the world better just by being in it. Olivia was quiet for a long moment, the city lights reflected in her eyes. Finally, she squeezed his hands gently. I've spent 15 years building walls to protect myself from ever feeling the pain I felt when I lost you, when I lost our son. The thought of lowering those walls terrifies me. I know, Nathan acknowledged, and I won't push. But I will be here, patiently waiting for however long it takes, whether that's days or months or years. Olivia's smile was tentative but real. I don't think either of us has years to waste anymore. We've already lost too many. Before Nathan could respond, the balcony door slid open and Lily appeared in her pajamas, her hair tousled from sleep. I thought I heard voices, she said, wheeling herself toward them. Is everything okay? Nathan and Olivia stepped apart, though their hands remained loosely linked. Everything's fine, Nathan assured his daughter. We were just talking. Lily's gaze dropped to their clasped hands, and a smile spread across her face. Finally, she exclaimed, I was beginning to think you two would never figure it out. Figure what out? Olivia asked, though her blush suggested she knew exactly what Lily meant. That you belong together, Lily replied with teenage exasperation. It's been so obvious. The way Dad lights up when you're around, the way you look at him when you think no one's watching." Nathan and Olivia exchanged surprised glances. "Have we been that transparent?" Nathan asked. "To everyone except yourselves," Lily confirmed. "Mum would be happy, you know. She always said she wanted you to find joy again if anything happened to her." The simple statement touched both adults deeply. Olivia knelt beside Lily's wheelchair. "Your mother was a remarkable woman, Lily. I would never want to replace her, in your life or your father's heart." "You couldn't," Lily said with wisdom beyond her years. "Mom will always be Mom, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for you too. Different, but equally important." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "When did you get so wise?" "Must be all that science," Lily quipped. "Develops the brain." Their laughter broke the emotional tension, and as the three of them moved inside, Nathan felt a sense of rightness, of pieces falling into place that had been misaligned for too long. The following Monday, Nathan walked into the boardroom with confidence, Olivia's words of encouragement from their morning call still echoing in his mind. To his surprise, he found his father already there, engaged in a heated discussion with James Morgan. "Ah, Nathan," William said as he entered. "Perfect timing. Mr. Morgan was just explaining his concerns about your leadership." "I look forward to addressing them," Nathan replied calmly, taking his seat at the head of the table. As the other board members filed in, William leaned toward Nathan. "I've been thinking about what Lily said at the science fair," he said, quietly, "about Ms. Parker making people better." Nathan glanced at his father, surprised. And perhaps I've been too hasty in my judgment," William admitted reluctantly. "Lily's achievements speak volumes about Ms. Parker's influence." Before Nathan could respond, William straightened as the meeting was called to order. James Morgan immediately took the floor, outlining his concerns about Nathan's leadership and his proposal to transfer control of the Montgomery shares. When Morgan finished, all eyes turned to Nathan. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket, and addressed the board with calm authority. "Gentlemen, ladies, Mr. Morgan raises valid questions about my commitment to this company. Let me be perfectly clear. My commitment to Harrington Investment Group has never wavered. What has changed is my perspective on what truly matters." He proceeded to outline the company's financial growth under his leadership, the strategic innovations he'd implemented, and his vision for the future. "As for my personal life," he concluded, "it has no bearing on my professional capabilities. If anything, finding balance makes me a more effective leader, not less." To Nathan's surprise, his father stood next. "As founder and chairman emeritus of this company, I fully support my son's leadership. His record speaks for itself. The company has thrived under his guidance, even during personal challenges. I move to dismiss Mr. Morgan's proposal and reaffirm our confidence in Nathan Harrington as CEO." The vote was swift and decisive. Morgan's proposal was rejected by an overwhelming majority, leaving him seething but powerless. As the board members filed out, William approached Nathan. "Thank you," Nathan said quietly. "I didn't expect your support." William adjusted his tie, his expression unreadable. "I may be stubborn, but I'm not blind. You've proven yourself a capable leader, and seeing Lily at that science fair—" He paused. "She reminds me of your mother. Brilliant, determined. Olivia Taylor clearly brings out the best in her." "In both of us," Nathan admitted. William sighed heavily. "I can't pretend to be thrilled about this situation. Old habits die hard. But I was wrong 15 years ago to force your hand, and I won't make that mistake again. Your happiness matters, son." The admission, so unexpected from the unyielding William Harrington, left Nathan momentarily speechless. Before he could respond, his father continued. "I'd like to meet her properly, not as your former girlfriend or Lily's teacher, but as the woman who seems to have captured both your hearts. Perhaps dinner next week." "I'd like that," Nathan said, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. "We'd both like that." 6 months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, Nathan stood in the garden of his family's estate outside Boston. Golden leaves drifted from the maple trees, creating a natural carpet across the lawn. Beside him, Lily beamed in a blue dress that matched her eyes, her wheelchair decorated with autumn flowers. "Nervous?" she asked, adjusting the boutonniere on his lapel. "Terrified," Nathan admitted with a smile. "In the best possible way." Music began playing softly, and the assembled guests, a small gathering of family and close friends, turned toward the garden path. Nathan's breath caught as Olivia appeared, radiant in a simple ivory gown that flowed around her as she walked. Her auburn hair was adorned with tiny white flowers, her smile luminous as their eyes met. Nathan had proposed 3 months earlier. During a weekend trip to Cape Cod with Lily, they'd agreed on a small ceremony, wanting to keep the moment intimate and meaningful. As Olivia reached him, taking his hands in hers, Nathan felt a sense of completion, a circle closing that had been left painfully open for 15 years. The minister smiled warmly at them. "Today, we gather to celebrate not just the beginning of a marriage, but the culmination of a journey, one that has spanned decades, weathered separation, and emerged stronger for having endured the test of time." As they exchanged vows, Nathan caught sight of his father in the front row, sitting beside Olivia's sister. William nodded slightly, approval and acceptance in his eyes. Beside him, Lily watched with joyful tears streaming down her face, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "By the power vested in me," the minister concluded, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Nathan, you may kiss your bride." As their lips met, sealing their vows and their future, applause erupted from their guests. Nathan felt Olivia smile against his lips before they parted, both laughing with pure joy. Later, during the reception held in the estate's conservatory, Nathan found a moment alone with Lily while Olivia danced with her father. "Happy?" he asked, sitting beside his daughter's wheelchair. "Ecstatic," Lily corrected, her eyes shining. "You two were meant for each other, Dad. It just took the universe a while to get the timing right." Nathan chuckled, squeezing her hand. "When did you get so wise about love and destiny?" "I had good teachers," Lily replied softly. "Mom showed me what unconditional love looks like. And now, Olivia shows me what resilience and second chances can create." Nathan felt his throat tighten with emotion. "Your mother would be so proud of you, Lily. I know I am, every single day." "She'd be proud of you too," Lily assured him, "for finding the courage to follow your heart this time." Across the room, Olivia caught his eye, her smile radiant as she excused herself from her dance partner and made her way toward them. "May I interrupt this father-daughter moment?" Ducey asked, reaching for Nathan's hand. "Always," Lily assured her, grinning. "He's officially your problem now anyway." Olivia laughed, the sound as musical as Nathan remembered from their college days. "The best kind of problem," she said, her eyes full of love as she gazed at him. "One I've waited 15 years to solve." As they shared another kiss, Nathan knew with absolute certainty that despite the years lost, the pain endured, and the obstacles overcome, they had finally found their way back to where they were always meant to be. Together, with Lily completing their family circle. In the warmth of that perfect moment, surrounded by those they loved, the shadows of the past finally dissolved, replaced by the brilliant light of second chances and new beginnings. Dear listeners, we hope you've been moved by Nathan and Olivia's journey to rediscover their love after 15 years apart. The path to happiness isn't always straight or simple, but as their story shows, true connections have a way of finding their course, even through life's greatest challenges. For more emotionally captivating stories like this one, we've prepared a special playlist filled with tales of second chances and unexpected reunions. You'll find it by clicking to your left. If Nathan and Olivia's story touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Every day, we bring you unique stories that explore the complexity and beauty of human relationships. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. What was your favorite moment in Nathan and Olivia's journey? Have you experienced a second chance at love in your own life? Join our community of